The village of Ndizi lay nestled between rolling hills and thick forests, a place where the rhythm of life was dictated by the rising and setting of the sun. It was here that young Abena, a bright and ambitious girl, lived with her family. Raised by her grandmother after the passing of her parents, Abena was known for her sharp mind and diligence. Her grandmother, Mama Akoto, often reminded her, "A girl who sharpens her mind will never go hungry." Abena was among the few in the village who had earned a scholarship to study in the city. It was an opportunity many could only dream of, and her grandmother had wept tears of joy when the letter arrived. "Go, my child," she had said, gripping Abena's hands, "but never forget where you come from." The city was a whirlwind of lights, noise, and temptation. At first, Abena focused on her studies, staying true to her grandmother's words, but then she met Efua and Nana, two girls from wealthy families who lived as though the world owed them happiness. They wore expensive clothes, spoke about parties in hushed whispers, and laughed at Abena's simple ways. "Why do you always wear these plain clothes?" Efua asked one day, her tone laced with amusement. "We should take you shopping. You need to look the part if you're going to survive here." At first, Abena refused, but with time, the lure of their glamorous wood proved too strong. She began sneaking out of school with them, visiting places she had only heard about in whispers. The first time she stepped into a club, she felt as though she had entered a different universe, one where the night never ended, and reality could be forgotten in the haze of music and flashing lights. One fateful night, Efwa introduced her to Kwame, a smooth-talking businessman in his late 20s. "This is Abena," Efwa said with a wink. "Be nice to her." Kwame was charming. He showered Abena with gifts, new dresses, jewelry, and even a mobile phone. He called her his queen and promised to take care of her. It felt like a dream, one that Abena did not want to wake from. She ignored the small voice inside her head, the one that whispered of danger. One evening, Kwame invited her to his house for a private dinner. "Just us," he said, smiling. "I want to treat you like the queen you are." Abena hesitated but eventually agreed. She told herself that Kwame was different, that he truly cared for her. When she arrived, the house was grander than she had imagined. The meal was exquisite, and the wine made her feel lightheaded. Then came the moment she had not prepared for. Kwame's insistence that she prove her love for him. "I have given you everything, Abena," he murmured, his fingers tracing her arm. "Now, I just want one thing in return." Fear gripped her. She had never been with a man before. She thought of her grandmother's words, of the expectations her family had for her. "Please, Kwame," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "Not tonight." But Kwame was not a man who accepted refusal. He took what he wanted, leaving Abena broken and ashamed. She returned to school the next day, numb. Efwa and Nana noticed the change in her, but when she confided in them, they merely laughed. "Why are you acting like a child?" Nana scoffed. "Do you think men give you all these things for free?" That betrayal cut deeper than she expected. She felt alone, abandoned in a world she no longer recognized. Days turned into weeks, and then came the nausea, the fatigue. When she finally gathered the courage to take a pregnancy test, the two lines stared back at her like a cruel joke. Panic set in. She was barely 17. What would she tell Mama Akoto? How could she face the village after this? Desperate, she called Kwame. He did not answer. When she finally managed to reach him, His response was cold. That's not my problem, he said before hanging up. He blocked her number soon after. Terror gripped her. She had no one to turn to. Efua and Nana distanced themselves, unwilling to be associated with her predicament. In her desperation, she turned to the internet, searching for ways to get rid of the pregnancy. She found a website that listed herbal remedies and dangerous pills. Without thinking twice, she ordered them. The package arrived in an unmarked envelope, and she swallowed the pills without hesitation. The pain started a few hours later, a searing, unbearable agony that left her gasping for breath. She collapsed in the dormitory bathroom, blood pooling around her. A scream rang out, and then everything went dark. When she woke up, she was in a hospital bed, the sterile white walls making her feel even more out of place. A nurse stood by her side, shaking her head. You nearly died, child. The realization hit her like a blow. The baby? She whispered. Gone, the nurse replied softly. But in the process, you have lost your womb. You will never be able to have children. Tears streamed down Abena's face. She had been foolish, blind to the consequences of her choices. But it was too late now. The damage had been done. Word spread quickly, and soon Mama Akuto arrived. Her face was lined with worry, but she did not scold Abena. She simply took her hand and whispered, Let's go home. The journey back to Ndizi was long and silent. The village had already heard the story, and whispers followed Abena wherever she went. She had once been the pride of Ndizi, but now she was a cautionary tale. Mama Akoto did not speak much in the days that followed. She simply worked in the fields, humming the same old song she always did. One evening, as the sun dipped below the hills, she finally turned to Abena and said, Do you understand now why I warned you? Abena nodded, shame tightening in her throat. I have disgraced you, Mama Akoto sighed. Life is not over, my child, but you must find a way to make peace with yourself. Mistakes do not define us. How we rise from them does. With time, Abena learned to live with her scars. She devoted herself to helping young girls in the village, sharing her story in the hopes that they would not make the same mistakes. She became a teacher, using her experiences to guide others onto the right path. Her past would always be a part of her, but it did not have to be the end of her story. Moral of the story: the choices we make, especially in moments of temptation, can alter our lives forever. Surrounding yourself with the right people and remembering where you come from can be the difference between success and downfall. No matter how enticing the world may seem, always hold on to your values, for they will guide you even in the darkest times.